Welcome to Showing Up Anyway, the podcast for people who are not perfect. On this show, we talk about intuitive eating, fitness without obsession, and healing your relationship with food and your body. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Showing Up Anyway. My name's Coach Adam, and look who showed up. You did, and I hope so. I think you're probably a little invested in this after, this is episode number 12? Exciting. After last week's episode on the perfectionist mindset, I was getting a lot of comments and messages talking about what I guess I'd call a close cousin, which is the makeup mentality. A need to sort of even the odds, balance the scales. You know what I'm talking about? If I did this, then I have to do that. If I had a slice of birthday cake, well, now my brain's doing a bunch of math and I think I'll have to do an extra hour of cardio tomorrow, or maybe I'll have to, have a salad for lunch and dinner. Maybe you skip breakfast to prove you're back in control. I used to make these same kinds of deals to myself. Now I get why you want to do it. There's a voice in your head saying that you need to, and it kind of sounds helpful. It says something like, burn it off or earn it or make up for it. And you hear that because you care about your health and you want to do the right thing. Okay, there's nothing wrong with caring about your health. But the problem is that over time, it starts to keep score. Food turns into debt that you have to pay back. And so meal after meal, you incur more and more debt and you start to micromanage every bite because you're afraid of what it's going to cost you tomorrow. And to make matters worse, if you're doing what a lot of people do and using exercise to clear that debt, then you start to dread movement because it's turned into a punishment. This episode is not about making you feel wrong or bad for hearing that voice. It's just about understanding where it comes from and why it keeps you stuck. We'll talk about what the harm is. We'll talk about the messages that have trained it. We'll talk about what it does to your body, your mood, your motivation, all that. And then we'll work on a better response that doesn't involve skipping meals or doubling up your workouts, because you don't need to run 5 miles to make up for dessert, and you don't need to skip meals to pay back fake debts. Nobody wakes up one morning and decides that it's a great idea to feel terrible because they went out to dinner and drinks with friends last night. We were taught to feel that way by diet culture. We were taught that certain behaviors and foods are good and others are bad. And to nobody's surprise by now, a lot of what you were taught about this goes back to your childhood, when we learned that if you're not good, you're being bad. And being bad needs correction. And I feel like this is especially true if you grew up religious, which I did. I'm not religious anymore, but I did grow up Mormon. Not a lot of people know that. Fun fact. Because we carry the beliefs we learned as children through school, through church, into adulthood. So now you feel like if you eat a cookie, you're a bad person. And in order to become good again, we have to atone for our sins. And in this case, we do that with a skipped breakfast or maybe an early 6 a.m. spin class, right? Here's what I want you to remember as I talk about this, okay? Food is not a sin. And exercise is not a sentence. Both of these things exist to help your body feel and perform better. Health is not shaped by the occasional treat or rest day. It's shaped by what you do the majority of the time. And your body does not have daily report cards, so there's no need for extra credit. So let's walk through a normal week and see where this might sneak in, okay? Let's say you have a big dinner on Sunday. You're out with friends, you're having drinks, you're laughing, maybe you have some dessert, and you go to bed really content, feeling so happy, so fulfilled. That's not a Thunderbolts reference. So full, so filled. Then Monday morning comes and you weigh yourself, as most people do who are trying to lose weight. And then the mental ledger kind of opens up in your head and you realize, oh God, I've gained weight or I'm bloated. I guess I have to skip breakfast because I was so bad this weekend. So you skip breakfast and just have coffee and call it good. And then because you were out late and you didn't sleep very much, you're irritable from that. And then you're also hangry, but work is busy, so you don't have time for lunch. And then by the afternoon, your body is doing exactly what a smart body does when it's underfed. It starts shouting for quick energy. So when you do get home, you raid the pantry. And then, of course, you feel guilty and ashamed for overeating. And then you promise to be stricter tomorrow. Does that sound a little like your day? How about this? You grab a donut from the break room. Well, shouldn't have done that. Now you have to do extra cardio after work or a second workout tomorrow. You sign up for the hardest class you can find because you believe you have to burn it off. And this can happen in reverse too. Maybe there's going to be a celebration. Maybe it's somebody's birthday and there's going to be cake. So you do extra exercise the day before or the morning of in order to earn that dessert that you're going to have. So now you are no longer using exercise to feel better. You're using it as punishment. You're worsening your relationship with food and with exercise at the same time. You know what's coming in a few short months? Holidays. Ooh, boy, can we get some good examples from this. Halloween candy, for 2 weeks. Thanksgiving lasts probably at least a week, with all the leftovers. 4 Christmases or 8 crazy nights. Finally, it's January 1st, but you've been binging for 2 or 3 months, so it's time for a reset, right? Juice cleanse, intermittent fasting, keto diet again. A set of rules so tight that they squeak. The pendulum swings from feast to famine, but we all know how those New Year's resolutions go, don't we? Now, on the surface, this probably seems responsible, right? But deep down, I think the need to make up for our mistakes usually comes from a place of guilt and fear. Fear of weight gain, fear of losing control, fear that one meal or one rest day is going to erase months of effort. That fear makes the voice sound reasonable when it tells you to skip meals or punish yourself with extra volume or do a cleanse or pre-earn your food. If you notice any of those voices this week, I want you to take that as a sign that you are in the make up for it trap. And the exit is not stricter rules, okay? You have enough of those. Stop. The exit is a steadier plan. Eat your normal, regular-sized meals after indulging instead of restricting. If you miss a workout, keep your normal schedule instead of adding penalties. Choose movement that supports your energy instead of draining it. When you stop that pendulum from swinging between extremes, your body calms down, your mind calms down, and the life that you are trying to build is going to finally become livable. Now, people don't usually tell me that they're going to try and burn off calories or they're going to skip a meal to make up for what they ate. But I do hear them say it. I think they know better, so they don't say it to me. But they do say it. And when I hear that, I think that they're trying to do the responsible thing. They want to show commitment. They want to prove that they're serious. But let me tell you why making up for it usually backfires. Because it often creates or worsens the problems that people are trying to avoid. If you respond to a heavy dinner by cutting breakfast and then having a minimal lunch, your body does not applaud your discipline, okay? It just gets hungrier. You lose energy, you lose focus, long gaps without eating make your mood and your energy swing. You feel shaky, you feel irritable, you crave something sweet or something salty because those are usually the foods that have the most calories, the most energy. And then you judge yourself for wanting the very foods that you promised to avoid, which usually leads to overeating at night because the day was spent underfeeding. The plan that was meant to balance the day ends up tipping it further. A steady and moderate plan would have moved you a lot farther forward with a lot less drama and frustration. And while physically you kind of feel like shit, wow, that was like the first time I've sworn in 12 episodes. I'm actually surprised. That's a record. While physically you feel like shit, I think the mental toll might be the heaviest part. Living with a set of scales in your head that constantly need to be balanced means that you can really never enjoy food or movement, and certainly not both at the same time. You feel anxious about social events, guilty on rest days. You spend more time negotiating with yourself than enjoying your life. You're also more stressed, and with that comes the urge to numb those feelings or rebel entirely, and that is where the what the hell effect that we've talked about shows up. And because we're less than perfect, we just throw it all away. Can you see how this all is connected? Nothing about any of that is motivational. It's exhausting. Compensation does not create control. The body that you live in responds best to regular meals that energize and sustain you, frequent movement that supports your body, and a calm mind. When you stop trying to atone for less than perfect decisions, your hunger is going to even out. Your energy is going to come back. Your workouts are going to feel doable again. You can start to string together days because you're no longer bouncing between extremes. That is how progress is actually made. Not through penance, not through confession, through steadiness and consistency. Not perfection, consistency. Think of your health as a season, not a single day. One stormy Tuesday does not cancel out spring. Just like one rich meal or one couch day does not decide your whole future. Change happens because of the small and ordinary choices that you repeat over time. I'm going to say that again. Change happens because of the small, ordinary choices you repeat over time. And since people love hard numbers, I'm going to give you some. I even have a visual aid if you're watching the video, okay? If you wanted to gain a pound of fat, you would need to eat 3,500 calories. But there's more, 3,500 calories over your maintenance calories, okay? So for some people, we're talking about 5,000 or 6,000 calories to gain a pound of fat in a day. That is not a slice of cake. That is not a second helping of dinner. Most of the time, the math that people are scared of is not happening. The bigger risk is in how you respond to the meal in the weeks ahead, not the meal itself. Eating is more than just numbers, folks. Yeah, it's fuel for your body, but at times it's also comfort. It's culture, it's celebration and socializing. It's at every holiday and birthday and vacation and memory with a loved one. You are allowed to include foods in your life, even if they're indulgent. Cupcakes are not evil. Salads are not virtuous. They're just foods with different nutrients and different roles. When you stop grading yourself for what you eat, there is no debt to repay. Fries at lunch do not require confession at dinner. You ate something that tasted good, And that's the end of the sentence. Whenever I have a consultation with someone about training, I remind them of this. Exercise is a really poor fat loss tool. That's the cold hard truth. You can eat 300 calories in 30 seconds, but it might take you an hour and a half to exercise to burn that much. So don't try and burn off what you eat, and don't try and burn it off before you eat something either. Okay? You don't have to earn your calories. You are not a dog who needs to earn a treat. Your body needs food every day, even on days you don't exercise. Do not make movement the bill collector here. Exercise is great for a lot of things. It protects your heart, it clears your head, it improves your confidence, your stress levels, your mental health. It makes daily tasks easier, but it's not great for fat loss. And when you move from enjoyment instead of guilt, the entire experience changes. The same workout that might have felt punishing before becomes a way to feel alive. So when you're in your car in the parking lot and you're trying to motivate yourself to go inside, I want you to tell yourself this. I am doing something hard today to make life easier tomorrow. I get to move my body and I am here for me. And when, not if, but when you have an extra big meal or a day where you ate too much and you moved too little, I want you to take a breath. Eat your next meal just like normal. Drink water. Do the workout you planned if that day was a training day. Go for a walk if you feel a little bloated and full. Get plenty of sleep. That calm sequence is going to restore balance a lot better than if you were skipping meals or adding punishment volume. One day cannot crown you, and it cannot end you. Each day is a new slate. Yesterday's pizza, yesterday's missed lift, yesterday's long nap on the couch, none of that creates a bill that you owe today. I want you to treat every meal and every session as its own moment. You had a heavier dinner, so you eat your normal breakfast. You missed a workout, so you do the next planned one. I have had clients on multiple occasions miss their Monday, Wednesday, and Friday workout and then try and do all three on Saturday. No go. They only ever do it one time because I tell them never again. And also, they're just so incredibly sore that they would have never done it again on their own anyway. But returning to routine is the skill that's going to keep you steady. Now, I know this reframe is going to feel strange at first, okay? Years of rules have taught you that punishment is safety. But look at your results. The punishments have not worked. It's kept you in place and unhappy. What works is a kinder structure that you can repeat regularly. Food is not a religion. You are not a sinner for eating certain things. There is nothing to atone for. Feed yourself. Move your body in supportive ways. Talk to yourself like someone worth caring for. That is the mindset that makes change stick. I want to tell you about a client I have named Melissa, and this is shared with her permission, of course. She came to me after working with another trainer for years, and she was tired. Not sleepy tired, but like nervous system tired. She'd been tracking everything obsessively for years. She'd been working out literally daily, sometimes twice a day, white knuckling it during the week, just trying her best. She's retired, and so she travels frequently. And anytime she'd go somewhere, she would just let loose. That was her escape. But when she came home, she would feel awful in her body and the decisions that she'd made while she was gone. And she would spend weeks trying to erase whatever weight she felt she gained on the trip. She'd try to burn off foods, and if she ever missed a workout, she would stack another one on top of it the next day. It was just a cycle of self-destructive behavior. Her trainer was the kind of person who did not accept excuses, and she apparently did not accept empathy either. And until Jennifer came across my content, she thought that was normal. She thought it was discipline, but she was miserable. She used to like lifting, but she started to resent it after literally taking no days off for months. Friends would ask her to grab dinner, and the first thought in her head was not joy. It was math. How do I make up for these calories I'm going to eat? Her body had all but stopped responding to change, no matter how much exercise she did or how few calories she ate. So when we started working together, I asked for one brave change. No more paying for food. I don't mean stealing it. I mean, if Sunday was indulgent, Monday still meant breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a small snack if she felt good. No cleanses, no skipping meals, no resets, normal meals on a normal schedule. And we trimmed her training plan to like 3 or 4 days a week so she could actually take some rest days, movement that she actually liked, and walks on her off days. I knew this was not a person that I could just expect to sit around, so I had to give her some sort of movement, but we actually rested. Active rest is fine. Over time, we built on those changes. We implemented a bedtime that she respected more or less. We built other anchors like a protein-forward breakfast, a water target, more vegetables. We didn't do this all at once, but we added a ton more flexibility that was centered around those certain behaviors. The first week felt really strange to her. She told me that she felt like she was getting away with something or doing something wrong. And I expected that. Okay, her brain had been trained to believe that Safety was on the far side of punishment. But we kept going. And by the second week, evenings were calmer because she was not ending her day completely wrecked and on an empty tank. Cravings weren't as bad. She noticed that her mood was better and she was less fatigued. By the end of the first month, she was finishing her workouts with energy to spare because her body was adequately fueled. She was lifting more, she had more energy. And further down the road, I think it's probably been about 2 years now, she's at the leanest she's ever been in her adult life. She is still going on vacations. And the other day, she sent me a picture of this delicious, decadent-looking French toast she had, bragging about how she didn't feel guilty at all about eating it. We did not chase a number on a scale. We tracked signs of a body that felt supported. Better sleep, fewer headaches, a clearer head in the afternoon, less guilt. Strength that kept inching up. She's now deadlifting almost 1.5 times her body weight. Her clothes fit more comfortably. She's able to wear tank tops and shorts where she never would have done that before. Steady, predictable, manageable. That's how we did it. Her words and her happiness shine so strongly now, and they matter a lot more than any metric. She actually texted me something that I wanted to read to you, of course, with her permission. But she said, "Dude, went out in a form-fitting tank and running shorts that are shorter than what I usually wear in public. No fidgeting and no tugging. No faking it till I made it. Just confident as fuck." Sorry, I know that's the second time I've sworn on my podcast now. "And completely owned it. This is all because of you. I'm no longer depriving myself of my favorite foods and then going on a weekend binge fest. I'm eating what I want, when I want, and without guilt. I'm not spending 4 hours a day, 6 days a week at the gym and then feeling wrecked all the time. I take rest days and they don't consist of me rationing food and beating myself up when I do eat because I'm not working out. Such a huge difference. I can't express how much I appreciate you as a coach. I'm so glad I found the courage to message you because working with you has changed my life. Thanks, Melissa." Nothing magical happened, folks. The pendulum stopped. Regular meals replaced fasting. Workouts were used as support and not punishment. When a day went sideways, she returned to her routine at the next opportunity. Melissa's story is one of many, and when you step out of that guilt cycle, your body and your mind can finally settle. If she can unlearn decades of atonement thinking, you can too. Here is your challenge for the week. When you start to hear that familiar voice telling you that you have to make up for what you've done, I want you to remind yourself that you do not owe a debt. You had food you enjoyed, or you took a rest day. That belongs in a full life. Breathe, and then roll back into your normal rhythm. Eat your next meal. Move the way that you'd planned. Drink water. Sleep. Simple things done on repeat create the change that you want. Your progress comes from patterns, not perfection. Remember, change won't come overnight, but it will come. And of course, if you want help building this steadier way of living, apply for coaching. I've got 2 programs. Okay, I've got the Flex program, which kind of gives you structure and guidance you can follow on your own. And then I have my Elite program, which gives you more one-on-one support with me and my team. The link is in my show notes and on my website. Folks, you don't have to earn your meals. You do not need to burn off your joy. Feed yourself, move with care, speak to yourself with respect, and of course, when it gets tough, keep showing up anyway. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Showing Up Anyway. You can find it for free on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And wherever you're listening, if you like the show, I'd love it if you gave me a 5-star review because that does help other people find the show. And hopefully it'll help change their life just like you're looking to change yours. If you're listening on Spotify, though, you can follow me and tap the bell icon so you get notifications when new episodes come out. I'm Coach Adam. Remember, when things get challenging, keep showing up anyway.